Well, hello, everybody. As you can tell, things are a little bit different tonight. Thanks to that, which hopefully you can see. I don't know, the auto adjustment's going to kick in here. A lot of crazy thunderstorms, a lot of lightning in the area up here in the mountains today. So the internet at home is gone. Nothing to be done. Luckily, we recorded the podcast a little bit ahead of time, but I am sitting in the car trying to have enough signal, luckily, to hang out with you guys a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the questions enough, so I don't know if it'll be a Q&A or if it's just going to have to be, a little bit of me talking. So we'll go from there, but I wanted to give you guys this just so we're on schedule. So when I say, hey, we're going to be live on Monday nights, we're going to be live on Monday nights. We'll keep this kind of short, and I'll try to do another session either later this week or definitely next Monday. Hopefully everything will be back together by then. And I have more videos coming for you too. If you missed the last one, I'd like to know what you guys think of my reaction to the franchise that the Chiefs are putting out. I put up a video a while ago, Saturday over the weekend, just to give you my responses, and it seems like folks liked it. And folks love the series. I love the series too, so it's definitely worth it. So, hey guys, I see that you're getting in here. Gary Holland, how are you? Joshua, how are you? A little bit different. Just going to run through some things. Yeah, it's a great place to live, Craig. It's definitely unique, but it's a little technology challenged. I live well over that next ridge line, so a little bit difficult to get solid internet. That's why the stream usually looks kind of pixelated, etc. But here, I don't know how it looks on the phone stream. First time I've done this, so you guys will have to let me know. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm definitely going rogue today because I'm sitting here off the overpass, off by myself. So yeah, a lot of things going on. It's been kind of a culmination. The team reports here, rookies, quarterbacks, next Tuesday. So we're looking at what, 8 days, 7 days. So, okay, great. Thanks, Carlos. Appreciate that. So it does. And Jeff, too. Thank you. Oh, yeah, there's tons of muleys out here, man. They're everywhere. I hunt elk mostly, so I don't chase those deer around that much. They run faster than I do. So, long story short, with the team getting ready to report, there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of little things. And James, since I don't get to see much, I'll just answer them as they come. Yeah, Pringle makes the team easily. He might even end up being the third or fourth receiver. We'll have to see how that goes. So, but they are coming into camp. Pringle will not be with the rookies next week. He will be the following day, like I think it's Thursday, the 27th. The 27th would be Friday. Friday they report, and then they practice the next morning. So that's the way it'll come down. But the couple of question marks going into, I don't know if Gordon's going to be traded or not. So it remains to be seen. I still think they'll be able to be working something out because I don't think they're going to give up on him. I know he asked for one, but I think that's part of a bargaining chip too. So, Mike, why is nobody talking about Blake Bell? Because he really hasn't shown that much. Big Chief Sean, what's up, buddy? Folks, if you don't know Sean yet, you will soon. Check out his channel, Big Chief Sean. That sounds written exactly how it sounds. He does some great stuff, and he's man of the people. Chiefs Kingdom, Tailgate, you guys are going to love him if you haven't found him yet. Heck, you might have found me from him, so I don't know. And Rock, I'll talk about that in just a minute. So, yes, they're all going to be reporting. A couple of guys right now we don't know about, and you guys are on it about Jones. Chris and I talked about Chris Jones on the podcast for today that came out last night. And the interesting thing about it is it's kind of a rock and a hard place for him because he doesn't have anywhere to go. The necessity of the CBA is that to get an accrued season, you have to report at least 1 month before opening week. So by the very latest, he has to be in camp by August 6th. If he doesn't make it by August 6th, if he is stubborn or he's getting bad advice, which I'm a little concerned about, but we'll talk about that in a minute. If he doesn't show off by then, by August 6th, he won't get an accrued season. And that means next year, after the season, he's not a free agent. He becomes a restricted free agent. The team can retain his rights no matter what. So that's a big thing for the agent and the player to consider, that if you're not going to have that accrued season, it defeats the purpose of holding out, because they control you again, because that's the way that it works. So I think he shows up. I don't know if they're going to work something out, but I don't think it's going to come down to that. So I think he's going to be in camp, I would say probably by, I don't know, second or third. I think they'll give it a shot, see if they can force the Chiefs into coming up. The Chiefs are going to hold out and try to force him to come down. If they're really about winning, and Chris wants to stay there, they might end up at a place where they could agree on a number. And that's really all it is, I think, is agreeing on a number and a structure that pays him what he thinks he's worth. Now, I admit, I think he's a little bit farther along. He feels he's worth more than the team does, but hey, it's going to be interesting. I'm seeing comments and questions. I'll try to read them. Who's the best QB in the 2000s? Oh, man, sorry, Metal Rocker, I lost that. Things were just scrolling around on me. Let me finish my thoughts, and we'll come back to some of those. I can see basically one or two comments at a time. So I do think that they can work it out. It's really, if they both kind of relax a bit and they want to get it done, then I think it will. But also, if they have to go through it, it's not the end of the world. If he plays through the end of this contract, he's then a free agent. I would strongly expect to see the franchise tag if that happens, in which case the team doesn't lose him. He gets paid a buttload of money, and he should be super happy with that. And then they can relive the whole thing the next year. So, that's what it is. Olin, surprises down the pipe. I would like to see them try to secure some veteran talent at cornerback. I have a feeling they're not going to get there, though, because I think they're pretty optimistic on Ward and the group that they have. So I don't know if they want to mess with that at the moment. So I don't really expect anything. If something happens at cutdown time, and we talked about this on the pod as well, if something happens at cutdown time and a veteran that they feel can help them is released, then that might be a different story. Trading, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's where the team is going to feel that that's it. So as far as Jones' value, $100 million contract, if it's over 5, 20 average, that's still pretty pushing it. I'd say he's probably, given he's only proven it one season, I think he's probably in the 17 to 18 range if you really evaluated what the value is. So I don't think he's going to sign for that is the problem. So I won't say that he's being dumb, David, but I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do feel like Lev Bell kind of went out on his own and did his own thing, and I don't think it worked out that well for him. He's in New York, and I don't think anybody wants to be in New York. So, I think that's troublesome. Obviously, we saw Chris Jones hanging out with Lev Bell quite a bit this offseason. He may have been getting some advice from him. He may be getting advice from his people. I'm not sure who represents Lev Bell. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have the interweb here to help me. So that could be a concern too. It's just, don't push it. Don't just listen to somebody who's already proven to be kind of a pain around the NFL. Didn't have a whole lot of interest, you saw, after Lev Bell sitting out for that season. Not terribly surprised from that. So, it is what it is. But I would like to see him, do his own thing, take advice from his people, and not be influenced by other guys that have had kind of a troublesome path in the league to begin with. So I think at the end of the day, I think they're going to be closer than they are currently, and that most people expect. I do hear rumblings that the franchise tag is going to be on the table. I don't know if that's, a preference or not. So I don't know. Brandon, I think Ward has a lot of potential, and I'm really interested to see what this staff does with him. I think if he can continue to improve because of the staff, he does have a shot. Dog, Big Chief Sean is there, but it is what it is. Just keep searching, or maybe he'll throw something in the chat so you can link to him or something like that. Sean, go for it. Oh, let me see if I can tap. Nope, not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to see the chat and make it stay. Hold on, you guys. All right. Okay. I think the Aaron Morrow, you always ask good questions. Are they holding out for cap space? I don't think that's it. I think they're trying to be smart about where they spend their cap space, though, and I think that's important. You want to make sure that you're spending it wisely because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble by spending kind of early in a contract, especially if you're a little bit overzealous, we'll call it. If you overvalue something, it's something that can come back and bite you. So for those of you that are just arriving, I see more people joining. My internet's out at home, so I'm sitting at a place where I can get good signal, and I'm just on my phone, so I apologize if it looks or sounds like crap, but it's the best that I can do tonight to make sure that we still have a chat. So I'm going to try to keep these always on time for you guys. Who do I think is the worst QB of the 2000s? For the Chiefs? Croyle? I mean, you got to go, I don't know. I'll go with Croyle for now. So, I don't know that you have to sacrifice anyone to sign Mahomes long term. You got to remember that there's going to be a bump in the cap just on a yearly thing. And I think the CBA is going to be some different structures. I think the NFLPA understands just how big the deals are that are coming. So it's something that I think they're aware that they have to get more money for the players. I don't know what the percentages are right now. I want to say that the players are like 47%. And I know the NFLPA understands how those things work. I think that's got to be what they go for. I don't know how much they can get to, though. But I think it's going to be a negotiating tactic, and I think it's going to be kind of a sticking point. So how big will it get? Could it be 52%? I think it's probably worth it. I mean, because you're talking the more that the cap grows is the more that revenue that the league is generating as a whole. So I think what the number arrives at will give us an idea of where the owners feel the value is, and that's something to be paying attention to also. Somebody asked about Blake Bell again. I'm sorry I missed your name, but Bell's a question mark. He's been in the league a few years. He hasn't caught on anywhere. He hasn't impressed anywhere. I don't think I wasn't high on him coming out either. And I don't think that we've seen progression enough in this league. So I don't know. Man, I'm sorry, you guys. That is just scrolling so fast. I saw something about wide receivers and who the backups are going to be. And that brings me to the other guy that we got to talk about. I think what you're gonna find is that we have to kind of make a distinction between. Oh, James, my internet's out, so I'm sitting in a car talking on a phone. So apologize. As more and more folks join, spread the word. I think you're going to find that we have to differentiate between the roster with Hill on it and the roster without. And that brings me to the waiting game that we're right in the middle of right now. All the reports, including what I heard when it initially happened, as well as what Therese Paylor's put out, is that they expect a decision by camp. And that's, it's a week away. So got to think later this week, we're going to hear about what's going on in Tyreek Hill's world. Is he back? Is not only is the team reinstating him, but what's the suspension going to look like? Oh, and it looks like I lost focus there. Trying to keep that. Okay, there we go. And once we know that, we'll know how the minutia is going to go, because I still expect a suspension. I think somewhere 2 to 4. There are a lot of folks who don't think so. So maybe they're right. And if there isn't, then it becomes a lot simpler to choose who you're going to have as the receiving core and who will naturally take their spots as the backups. But if he's suspended, like I expect that he will, I feel like you have to not only look at who can be the best long term, but who can do his job of stretching the field right off the bat while he's gone. That element of the offense, I think, still needs to be there. And Mecole Hardman is definitely one that can do that. The question is going to be, is he ready? they threw a ton at him, and to all admissions, threw a ton of information at him during the OTAs in an effort to get him up to speed. I think because they expected to lose Hill for a while. So, I think that's going to come. We're just going to have to find out if it's sunk in yet or not. And nothing against him. That's a lot of information. Dan Thompson, how are you? I'll be prepared to do the next franchise one. It'll be on one of the channels. I'm just going to keep doing it. So, that said, there are other guys that can do it. And I think Pringle, he was mentioned very early in the chat. Somebody asked right away. I think Pringle's a really, really interesting guy because to everyone that I've heard from, he would have made the 53 last year. So that's important. That said, he's looked good in OTAs, but it's just OTAs. You know, like every year we get kind of pumped up about somebody who's doing great in OTAs, and it just doesn't work out. And people are texting me in the middle of this. It's not really working very well. So, yeah, the guys in my fantasy leagues are starting to freak out. So, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that. It was a little long-winded, I think, my franchise video, but I'll try to tone it down next time, make it a little bit easier to listen to. So, I don't want to get too excited about Pringle because of the OTA thing, because we've seen that kind of blow up before, but it's consistent. When you put that back to back with what he did last season, I think that you can take that, and I think you can bank on that a little bit more. So right now, I think it's a question mark of if Hill is out 2 to 4 weeks, is Robinson going to play a primary role, or do Pringle and Mecole Hardman push him out of the way? That's going to be the question. And I see questions about Custis. I think Custis is a practice squad guy. I could be wrong, but a fireman, 10, sorry, that's all I saw. But I think he will make the practice squad, but I don't think he's anywhere near ready to run routes against NFL coverage. So, hey, Brandon, thanks for the donation. I didn't even expect any of those tonight. Chances to win the Super Bowl, I'm going to put them at 5-1. They got to get past the Packers and the Patriots first. The Chiefs can win this Super Bowl. I don't think it's far-fetched at all. And if my fantasy league guys would shut up for a while, I wouldn't have to keep doing this. Sorry, guys. Who's going to lead the team in tackles? I think it's going to be Hitch. If everything works out the way they want it to, it's going to be Hitch. The question is, can he actually live up to that? That's a great question, Jay. I think that he can. Chris is really high on him on the show, so it remains to be seen. But he's in a position where he can be the run and chase linebacker, and I think you guys have heard me say this before. I'm still a Reggie fan. I think Reggie Ragland's going to have a better season. I think he has the ability to get better and play better. I'm not getting, no, Aaron, I'm not getting calls. I'm getting texts and they pop up. So that's my problem. I apologize. And I lost my train of thought. So you guys are going to have to clue me back in. But it's one of those deals that leading tackles is good. And the closer it is to the line of scrimmage, the better your defense is. When your safeties are leading the team in tackles, that's the problem. And you got to watch out for that. So, Fireman, that's a real good one to really kind of track. Metal Rocker, I heard rumors that the Chiefs have been linked to Crabtree. And that's fine. I don't think that that's really going to be what they want to do long term. It could be. It all depends. I'll tell you this. This particular organization, they really rely on their initial evaluations from before. So, I mean, if Brett Veach had a high grade on Crabtree coming out, that's going to go a long way. I don't know what it was. So, I hope that it was. I think Crabtree, as a college guy, especially coming out early, I think he was pretty temperamental, kind of a diva. It looks like he's settled down. I don't know if that's true. I will miss every option for a matchup with him and Talib. So let's leave it at that. But Gary Holland, the defense, I am hoping for them to get to the 15 mark. If they are the 20th defense in the league, they're going to make that Super Bowl. The defense is that, or the offense is that good to carry them. So I think that's going to be something that really remains to be seen. If they can get to 15, I think they're going to be even better. Evan, thanks for your donation. I didn't even expect it. I got to scroll a little bit to make sure I ask you or answer yours. I've been hearing these rumors about the Chiefs signing Crabtree. Do you think the Chiefs will? I don't know. I've heard the rumors too, but I haven't heard it from anyone that I know has connections inside the team. So take that with what you may. Um, I don't know. Aaron, good question. I've heard that somebody has interest in Norman. I don't think Norman, unless we find out, and this is going to be kind of telling, unless we find out that the Chiefs are going to play 70% zone, Norman isn't a fit. Norman is a zone corner. And I think you saw when he moved on that was his downfall. He was not able to perform the way that he did in a mixed coverage or a zone or a man coverage as he did in pure zone. So I think that's really what it's going to come down to. Chris, Eric Berry's not going to be signed back. I don't know that he'll play again. We'll have to find out. Big Chief, if you guys missed it earlier, Big Chief Sean, yeah, Dieter makes the team. In my proclamation, before we see any practices, so take it for a grain of salt, I do have Dieter making the roster, along with Pringle, Hardman. Was it Robinson? Yeah. And then obviously the stars. And there's going to be some of that. So could things change? Yes. Once we see practices, once we see how they're giving the reps away, that'll give us an indication. And then you got to put out in the games. That's how Pringle got himself into this position, where if he hadn't gotten hurt last year, he would have made the 53 as a rookie. So I'm looking for that as another stepping stone for him. So the linebackers slow covering tight ends. Reggie's not a great coverage guy. Hitchens was in Dallas, and Wilson has been fairly good in Dallas. So if they're asked to do the same things, they can be. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I want to see more out of Pringle. I want to see more out of Hitch in coverage, and I want to see what Lee can do. I'm really kind of interested in that. Andre asked, will you be at the Thursday night football game with the Broncos in Denver? Yes, I will. I may actually be covering it in the press box. Haven't gotten a solid answer on that, but the Broncos are considering me for a credential, so I hope that I can do that. I'll be able to give you guys a lot of instant reaction with not having to wait 3 days for the all-22 film. I'll be able to watch it live and tell you more. So that's what I'll be aiming for. My favorite metal rocker, when I come into town, and I do it a couple of times a year, I eat burnt ends. You can't get them anywhere else. So that's what I go for. I try to keep it light and not eat a ton of carbs with it, but salad and burnt ends is what I do. Brandon, do you think Ragland should get dropped and get Lee and Wilson in there? No, they're not the same kind of players. Lee's a chase linebacker. He's a will. That's what he does. He's not an inside guy. Wilson could. He's got the size, but he hasn't. He's played Sam out there in coverage in the past. Nobody's a downhill player like Reggie Ragland. He is the best middle linebacker attacking the whole guy that they have. Whether he can do it in this defense or not is what's going to remain to be seen. So, Brian, do you think our money odds will see playing time? Yes, I think he'll be the third safety. I think Sorensen's going to make this team because they like his rush ability, but Armani Watts is much better in coverage, in my opinion. So, James Fitch, I don't know the steel curtain well enough on the fly here to do that, but I can look that up and I'll get back to you in another Q&A sometime. Yeah, I agree. Jody, I'm very interested in Lovett. I think he'll do well. Pat Peterson may say that. Pat tried to get out of there pretty hard, though. And it took something from the owner to change that. And so I'm not going to buy into that. That's 100% yet. So who's the leader? Olin, who's the leader on the defense? It's going to be Frank and Mathieu. And they're not only are those guys capable, but that's what the Chiefs are trying to do. They are trying to install those guys as the leaders. Aaron, I'll have to try Smokehouse next time. I haven't been there. Forgot what that player's name was that we gave 100,000 to. It's Custis, lickety split. And I don't know. I think he's going to be a practice squad guy, so I think that investment's going to pay off. But I don't think he's going to be a 53-man guy. How good of a season would Tyrann have? I don't know yet. I got to see how they're deploying him before I can give you a better idea. So, Chris, I'm sorry about the super chat thing. I don't know if it's me or if it's the system or whatever, but don't worry about it. You guys, we can do super chat next time. Not a big deal. I've been pretty high on Watts, Mike. So don't hold that against me. I'm just I'm more negative on Sorensen than I am positive on Watts, is what it is. What position do you think the Chiefs will add on cutdown day besides corner? I think you could see another linebacker. I think you could see a safety. Anything that they think gives them a small upgrade in any way, I think they'll do. J-Dub, I think Damian Williams will play 14 games in the regular season. I think he'll have a couple where he's a little dinged up. So there's going to be a little bit of opportunity for somebody. Hardman's route tree. That's an interesting question. I can't remember who asked that. Jake Ham, thank you. That's good. The route tree at Georgia was a lot of verticals, especially out of the slot. You know, corners, posts, goes. He did a comeback once in a while. He did some like intermediate crossers. He didn't do a whole lot of the low crosser thing, if I remember correctly, from the film that I watched anyway. He did some drags, and he did some deep crossers, and that'll help. A little bit similar to what we saw more of Hill do, especially those sidearm throws that he caught, 8 yards deep, something like that, and just had the ability to run. That's what they're looking for. So, Evan, thanks for another one. I appreciate that. Isn't it stupid that Mahomes is a 97 overall? Yeah, I don't know how they go about that, man. I haven't played Madden. The last Madden I bought was like in 15. I don't know. I'm going to buy it this year, though. I'll tell you that. David Wilkerson, who do you think will lead the team in sacks, and who will be the vocal leader on the defense? I think it's going to be Frank, and I think they're going to do all that they can to help Frank. I think Jones will push because he's basically in a contract year. I think it'll be close, but I think Jones is the better pass rusher. And vocally, I think you're going to hear two big voices in Frank Clark and Tyrann Mathieu. That's the way it's going to go. Let's see. Armani Watts. Don't be surprised if he's a shutdown corner. Watts isn't a corner. They're not going to move him over there. I think you mean Ward. And could be. I hope that he does. Let's see. Andre. I think the Chiefs will run many 3 wide receiver sets. Yeah, that's the 11 personnel group that everybody talks about. They're going to run that a ton. It's going to be probably their biggest. I think they ran that 62% last year, if I remember right. Jay, is there any legit T2 on this team? No. There's question marks about everybody. Yelder, who's athletic and I liked coming out of school, but he's not a sure thing. Lovett obviously is making a position change, and he's inexperienced, played at Ivy League school. There's a lot of question marks. That could easily be a position that they pick up on cutdown day. But I like the options. The different thing about Lovett is that he gives you the ability to change things, to run out of different positions, out of the H. He's kind of a unique guy, and I look forward to Andy figuring out what he wants to do with him. Scott, a lot of people saying that everyone is going to be able to run on us easily. No, a one-gap defense like this, which is everything that they've said, is more difficult to run on. You have to be sound still in your assignments, but yeah, I don't see any reason. And I think with Rags being covered and being the middle linebacker, I think he's going to play better to start with. So, Ryan Ader, the starters are going to be Chris Jones and Derek Nottie. You're going to see rotation out of Saunders and Williams, I think, unless Hamilton really comes on, and some folks think that he will. So that's what you're looking at the interior spots. And then on pass rush situations, I think they're going to sub out Nottie for some Speaks, some Passanio a little bit, if Passanio makes the roster. So Dwight Raleigh, what's your take on Damian Williams as the starter? I think he's the best match for this offense. I think Darrell's probably second, and I expect Hyde to be the third. The question is with Hyde is always health. And he can catch passes, but it's not his forte. So yeah, does it help that Clark Hunt is now the chairman of the NFL Finance Committee? It does. That's a powerful position. It helps them in terms of getting the draft, which you saw, and it's also going to help, in trying to get a Super Bowl in Kansas City. And having Clark in that position does help. He's got to convince the other owners and all that kind of stuff, so it's not a done deal, but it is a position of power within the league. Okay, Kenneth, can the secondary be counted on to be better this year than last as it stands? What we have now, I think it can as a collective. I think the experience of Breeland and Fuller can go farther if they can play more zone. They did that very well when they were in Washington together. And I think Ward's going to have I think Ward is used to being attached. He's a man guy. He looked a little lost in some zones last year. But I got to chalk that up to Bob Sutton too. So I'm going to stay positive on him and see what he can do. Why don't the Chiefs convert players to positions so they could be more successful? Marty used to do that a lot. It's just harder, and they don't have as much coaching time. They don't have any hit time. The CBA really has coaches strapped for trying to make big changes like that and make a guy do something he hasn't done before. Mo Reynolds, is Eric Bieniemy gone after this season? I don't think so. I think you get him one more season in 2020. Chris, I know we have Stack D. How much playing time for Colin Saunders? It's going to be a struggle. I think he'll be rotational. I think he's going to be, somewhere 15% of the snaps the first few weeks. So it'll be close. Let's see. Brandon, do you think we should cut Ragland? No, not at all. Not at all. You don't have anybody better than him at a middle linebacker in a 4-3. You could try to put Hitchens there, but Hitchens needs to run too. He's not a brawler. The best guy to pass rush in the A gaps is Reggie Ragland too. Now, if somebody, if some veteran middle linebacker gets cut, that's always on the table. But no, I don't think they should cut him. What would the wide receiver order be right now, Jay? It's going to be Hill, Watkins, Hardman for me, Pringle, Robinson, Dieter. That's what I have right this second. We'll see who does what in camp, though. Fuller will be back to his original position, so he's going to look more comfortable and better. His regular position, really is nickel. That's where he's best. So I think having Breeland out there next to him is going to help him some, though. I think it's going to make him more comfortable. Are you going to have a party or perhaps a tailgate for the loyal fans? You know what I'm considering doing is doing a meetup. I'm going to be there for training camp on the 12th and 13th of August. And I'm thinking about doing a meetup somewhere. Maybe at Boulevard, maybe, I don't know, somewhere else. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm just about out of time. But hit the comments below. Let me know if there's some place we could all get together and eat and drink or whatever. I'd be more than up for that. That'd be kind of fun. Marty, do you think using the sausages in 2 tight end sets? Yeah, I think they will. They saw that he could last year, and I think they can be more creative with it without having to stress about, do they have a tight end too? J-Dub should be concerned about Travis Kelce. I don't think so. Everything I've heard is that he's going to be absolutely fine. So until I know something, when will I be back in Wahoo? Andre, I didn't realize you were there too. There's another guy on Maui too. My best friend lives out there. He's Honolulu PD. So I kind of have options. We have a couple other things as a family we're doing this year. So maybe 2020, I'll give it a shot. And if so, maybe we can all get together then too. Let's see. How good would our defense be with Ray Lewis in his prime? I don't know. With Convict, I mean, he'd be good. He's good middle linebacker. Always was. That's really a question for Rex Ryan, though. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see. Okay, cool, Aaron. Okay, still being... sorry about that. Would you rather have Chiefs this season or Khalil Mack and Patrick Peterson? Peterson. Mack's good, but they have enough pass rush, I think. I'd rather have Peterson than have coverage. Appreciate it, Jay. Yep, everybody wrapping up. That's great. So I'll call it there. A little bit short tonight, but thank you for everybody who gave some donations tonight. Sorry, it's real difficult for me to see on the phone what your question was. Make sure you hit me next time, and I'll get back with you. More videos coming this week. Check out the podcast. Let me know what you think, and I'll try to get this thumbnail corrected whenever I get back online. So thanks for your time tonight. You guys have a good one. I'll give you something here later in the week, and I'll talk to you next Monday. Take care.